Members of the company, this is your Places call. Places, please. Places for the top of the podcast. Places, please.
Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the glitz and not-so-glam of Broadway, education, and everyday life with Uncommon Sense. Join hosts Christopher Smith and Sharna Lopez as they bring you the best stories and shenanigans that seemingly prove how elusive common sense can really be. So take a little time for yourself to hang out with the dynamic duo Charnopher. And no leaving early, because you might just miss that 11 o'clock number.
Stand by music. Music, go.
Uncommon sense, the 11 o'clock number. And we are Charnopher. You're backward? You're backward.
Yeah, it's kind of like my little mini stroke I had during the show yesterday. I can't count in a song. 4, 3,
it's all for
25,
the stories. It's all
1.
for the stories, you know?
Yeah.
I love it. I love those moments. We had a couple of those. Well, not me. It's so interesting. First of all, hello everybody. Hello, Charna fans. Sorry,
Hello,
we just jump in with
Yeah.
no like intro, which is fine. We are coming out of our big show weekend two weeks in a row. So we've
Mhm.
seen a lot of each other, and I felt like I feel like we saw each other 5 minutes ago, which
Yeah,
pretty much
it's
is
because
true.
we did. It was like less than
Because we
12
closed the
hours,
show
practically.
last night. If you
Yeah.
can't hear in our voices the tired sounds of a 2-week run of a show.
Yeah.
But Christopher was talking about a hilarious moment yesterday in the pit where he couldn't count in a song
Yeah,
correctly.
just couldn't do it.
Which makes me laugh. That's very rare experience for you though, Christopher.
Cody,
I'm sure
the
you were like,
guitar
"What's
player, was
happening?"
so sweet. He was like, "Oh, well, now you made one mistake, and now I feel like it was okay that I made a couple mistakes."
Oh my gosh, I love him, Cody.
Yes.
Oh man. There was I don't know if you knew, you probably didn't, because where you are in the
Yeah.
pit, you can't watch everything and you're playing. You're also playing.
Yeah.
But there was a moment in one of the shows this weekend where one of our cast members didn't make it out for
Oh.
a section of a dance number.
Oh no.
And it's so funny because as a director,
Mm-hmm.
certain people, if they don't make it on stage, you're like, yeah, they were distracted. They're
Yeah.
probably on their phone, or they're probably, and you're not like concerned, you're more irritated.
Right.
And then certain people don't come on stage and I'm immediately like, are they injured? What's wrong?
Right.
Because like they
'Cause they
never miss a cue.
always
So the
come in.
second she didn't get on stage, I'm like texting the stage manager. I'm like, is she okay? Is she hurt? And they're like, no, she was standing in the wings, ready to enter, like was there and just zoned out.
Yeah.
And then like right
happens.
as she sort of was like, oh shoot, she was watching the cast do the dance break that was her dance break. And she's like, oh, cool. That was supposed to be me on stage right now.
That's amazing.
It totally
that's
happens too,
amazing.
you know?
Oh, so good.
Oh man. Fun times.
I know.
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about today, Christopher.
Yeah.
We closed a
show.
big fun show.
Yes.
And, you know, for those theater people who listen, this will probably be, you know, like, oh yeah, been there. For not theater people who are listening, a big thing with a show is you put in so much work in all the different stages. So like the pre-production and the auditioning and the casting and the scheduling and all the things that go into planning a show. Ugh, I know. And you know what?
Scheduling.
You and I are pretty good. We're pretty good at that, though. We've kind of got it down.
We are, but still, I hate it. That's the one aspect I
I
don't care
actually
for.
think it's hard with conflicts with the cast. And I think
Absolutely.
so. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. This is why we do the podcast, because we just talk like humans. And then all of a sudden I'm like, there was this one time at band camp. When I was in 5th grade. So, oh my gosh, this is so weird. I'm going to talk about when I went to 5th grade camp. And this
Okay.
morning, I sent my son, he was in 7th grade. They do Astro Camp. So he left for Astro
Oh,
Camp this morning.
that's
He was so
cool.
excited. I know. I'm very excited for him. But in 5th grade, when I was growing up, that's when you did camp. You did sleepaway camp, and it was a week long. And it was in May. And I auditioned for my very first show at the Moonlight Amphitheater, which a lot of you, if you are in Southern California, know of. And I was in 5th grade, and it was the musical Annie, Christopher's favorite musical.
My favorite musical that I never
And
want to do again.
it was, and Moonlight's youth theater was pretty prominent and pretty, like, it was a big deal to
Yeah.
audition for that theater. And like, because I say back then, back in my day, there weren't 100 youth theater opportunities. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was either like you did your little thing at school, or there were like 2 or 3 in the area. So if you got in the show, it was a big deal. And they made you sign something that said, I will not miss any rehearsals. Like, there were no excuses. None.
Oh.
You either came to every single rehearsal or you were not in the show. Like, unless you were sick. That was how it
Wow.
was. And so
I mean,
we
I
got
love
the
that.
schedule.
Can
We
we
were
do
like, yes.
that?
Well, and that's kind of what I'm saying. So anyway, we had to, my mom had to be like, if you got to choose, you either got to go to 5th grade camp or do Annie. And I'm like, no,
Mm.
like, I want to do both. And essentially my mom came to the stage manager, which is funny, not the director. The stage manager was the person of contact and was like, look, this is educational. It's for her school. We're not going on a vacation. Like,
Mhm.
and at the end of the day, they let me go, but it was
Oh,
like a
good.
huge deal, like a huge deal. And I think there's a happy medium. I think, some kids now, and in adults, whomever, they come to audition for things and they're like, cool, I'm available 1 day in November and then 3 days in
Yeah.
December, but I'd like to be the lead of the show.
No.
And you're
God.
like,
No, you're so right. Oh.
yeah. And I think it's part of our society and just like wanting everybody to do everything all the time. And
Yeah.
I like to tell students in particular, and I know we're sort of like coming out of this community theater adult situation, which is a
Mhm.
different thing, but
Absolutely.
especially with our students, like, you don't have to do everything, and no one's going to be upset with you. And it's probably going to serve you better to choose the one thing and do it well
Yeah.
than be stressed and running around like a crazy person trying to do the 3 things.
Right.
So I think there's a happy medium. I think, hey, I have a family vacation, or I'm finishing this show the first week
Mhm.
of this other show. Like, if there's a
Right.
little crossover, right? I understand. But that is when we're pre-planning shows, when we're doing pre-production, those scheduling things, even with the creative team, is
Yeah.
hard,
Yeah.
and there's a lot that goes into it. And then we've got rehearsals and dealing with, putting all that energy into the creation of a show.
Mhm.
And then the performances for me is where I finally feel like, if you're not playing the show, you probably feel that same way. You played this show and essentially conducted this show. And that is a lot of, I didn't have to go through that, like,
Yeah.
energy. I mean, I'm sitting in the audience, still clearly involved,
Yes.
but there's all that work. And then we closed the show last night and it's like gone in 4 hours. It's the
Yep.
most bizarre,
Yes, it is. It's as if it never
like,
happened.
yeah, like weeks and weeks and months, even with, in this case, years of trying to get this,
Mhm.
inaugural production for the company up. And then you're just like, oh, now it's done. It's so
Yep.
weird. And the set goes down in an hour and all the costumes are in the truck and everyone's like, and it's like, what? Like, the thing that like consumed us for however long is now just
Mhm.
over. There's no
Yeah.
like weaning off period, right?
No.
Like, oh, like, it's just like done.
There's always a ramp up
And I think
period,
that,
but there's never like a
yes,
cool down period. It's like
right,
high,
like the
climb,
excitement of
climb, fall off a cliff.
getting to the audience. Yeah, getting to opening night, getting to having an audience. And then
Yeah.
it's like, closing night, we've got it down. The show's so great. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Like, it's so, and I think that's why. So we kind of, today we wanted to talk about like what we call post-show blues. And then I also wanted to talk about like the strike process of a show.
Mhm.
But I think it's interesting. I think that now that I just said it out loud, that's the exact reason, especially with young people when we
Oh,
do youth theater, they
yes.
really get emotional at the
Well,
end of the show.
I remember in high school, and I was never even in the shows in high school. I was always in the pit. And I've told my trial by fire.
But you're
Have I
still part
told?
of the
Yes.
process. Yeah.
Have I told my trial by fire musical experience to
No.
you or on this
No.
podcast? Oh, I'll come right back to it.
No, but we're going to hear it today.
Yes, we are. But anyway, so I was always a part of the pit, and it was a good week, probably at least, that I would feel a little depressed, and I would just feel a little bit
Yeah.
sad. And I missed
Yep.
seeing all my friends. I mean, I still saw a lot of them at school, but it's not the same. And it was
No.
just, and I especially, it was the worst in high school. As I started to do it professionally more right out of high school, it was a little less. But I think the other difference is when you're like in high school or in youth theater, maybe not so much because Spotlight particular and other youth theaters do a lot of shows during the year. But like in high school, that was our one production. And then it's like,
Yeah.
that's it. And you have nothing again
Yeah.
until the next year. And so,
Well, and that's
I
how it
think
was
that
from my
contributes.
youth theater where I did Annie. They only do, because it's an amphitheater.
Yeah.
So they only did a show in the summer.
Mhm.
Right. And so you would make all of these new friends,
Yeah.
and you'd have all of these wonderful like inside jokes and fun things. It's like you have been adopted into this family,
Yeah.
and then you're like,
Okay, bye.
peace out. I'll see you later.
Right.
And it's so, especially like some of them, you stay friends with them, or you see them, or they go to your school,
Yeah.
but some don't, right? So if you're doing theater outside of school,
Yeah.
and then it's like somebody who you saw and spent hours with every single day, all of a sudden you don't.
Yeah.
And it's hard because, and we've seen levels of the emotions, right? You see the students that are sort of like teary eyed and they're like, this was so fun, to the extreme, like
breakdown.
sobbing, losing their mind.
Absolutely.
And those ones I'm like, y'all, I get it. I understand, but
Yeah.
no one's dying. And this is it, and it's just hard for them to process, I think.
Well, I will say, in
especially
their
when it's such a formidable. Wait, formidable? Is that the right word?
Maybe. What do you finish the
I'm
sentence?
serious.
And I'll tell you.
Like part of their life.
Oh, I think it's like
a foundational part of their life. I don't think
foundational.
formidable is the right.
Formidable is
formative.
Like, yeah. Maybe
yeah, like
that's it. Yeah.
Formative. Right. So they're learning about themselves. They're learning about like relationships and working with other people and what drives them and their passions. And they're having all of these hopefully great experiences.
Right.
Right. And then it's like, if they feel like it's taken away from them.
Right.
And I think that's a big, big part of it.
Well, it is. And like I was going to say, to defend those maybe more extreme end of things. And you said nobody died. I'm like, in essence, something has died though, right? Like
That's
it
true.
is the death of this show. You will never be able, and that's what I say is so great about theater and so sad. You will never do this show with these people in this circumstance ever again. You might do the show 25 more times, but it won't be with these people in this theater. Like something's going to be different.
Yeah. It is literally a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
And so you're probably right in that case where then it is so sad for some people to think I may do a show with 5 of these people. Yeah. I may do this show again 2 different times, but I will never do this exact thing again. I remember being probably right around like 7th, 8th grade. I used to write in my diary a lot, as a lot of middle schoolers used to do. I don't know if they still do that, but I remember doing, and I should ask, well, my son probably doesn't, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to ask the middle school girls at school. Like, is that a thing?
Yes, do it. I'm intrigued.
I will, because I loved that, and I love going back when I finally like moved out of my house and took all my stuff. I remember finding my diaries and reading it and being like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck?"
What?
But I did a production of Annie Get Your Gun in, I think I was 7th or 8th grade, and I remember really being super into my diary at that time and going back and reading it. It's like now being a teacher and an adult and being like, this is what so many of my kids, like I would write very specific things about, like, you know, at rehearsal today, so-and-so came over and we talked about this. And I think they're my new friend and blah, blah, blah. And on stage today, like this happened and it was so funny. And, you know, it's so important with youth, but
Mhm.
having just done this community theater production, it's so important with adults because
Yeah.
it's about relationships and community. And I had one of our cast members last night at the cast party before I left. I made a quick appearance and she's like, can I talk to you real quick? I know I like said thank you and this and that, but she's like, you don't understand how incredibly powerful this experience was for me. And I thought that word was really special.
Yeah.
She's like, we don't do this anymore as adults. We
Mhm.
get on a track, we're taking care of our families, or we have a career, or we're making money, or we're whatever. And she's like, to stop and take time to have these experiences again has been so
Yeah.
it's been really eye-opening. And I think it's funny because we want that for our kids, we want that for the youth, we want them to have these experiences, but then to still be able to have that as an adult, like I could imagine just some of those adults going home and writing in their diary like, oh, today was so
Mhm.
fun because so and so did this and so
Yeah.
and so did that and we had a good time and this happened and
Yeah.
Christopher couldn't count the music and so and so missed their cue and we did, like it just
4,
it's
3,
just
3,
funny,
4, just go. Just go. Literally
Is
what
that
happened.
did you finally say just go?
I
Is that what you
did.
said?
I said 4, 3, 4, just go. That's it.
Wait, what song was it? I know you told me what song
It
it was, but I
was
forget.
Follow Your Dream reprise. So it's like ding 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 ding
Oh
ding.
my
ding. And I had already given him like the tempo through the like
Yeah.
And then I was
I love
like,
it.
and I just went 4. And then I'm like, that's just not enough. That's not enough. That's not a tempo. That's just one number. That's not a tempo. Just so everyone knows, you need at least 2
Oh, no.
beats, 2 numbers to give a tempo. And then he was so confused because I said 3, because then I was like 4. Well, what am I going to do now? 3,
Oh
3,
my
4,
gosh.
just go. And then he was laughing so hard he played the entire first 4 measures incorrectly because he was playing with his eyes closed because he's laughing so hard.
Wait, who was it?
Cody? The
Yeah.
guitarist. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. I just literally leaned back and took a nap. I was like, I have to leave. This is dumb.
The shenanigans. I love it. I love it. And listening to, again, we're sort of just right on the heels of this show. And so
Yeah.
it's funny hearing from the cat, because I watched almost all the shows. I was good and I
Yeah.
walked away from 2 of them. I tried to
Good
train
job.
myself. But hearing the cast talk about like the funny stuff that happens on stage,
Yeah.
like that we don't really see as an audience member, but like happens because
Yeah.
those things happen and those are the memories that people take with them. And I don't know. It's so, and that's what's hard, I think,
Yeah.
walking away from the show,
Yeah.
we had a great cast party last night, but then walking away and being like, oh my gosh, we're not
That's it.
going to do this. I'm not going to get to play that character again that way with those
Yeah.
people.
Exactly.
It's tough.
Hopefully we'll see
It's
a
tough.
lot of them come out for other shows, but nonetheless, you never know who'll be
Yes.
in a show, right?
100%.
I did want to say though about the cast party, because I was there before you were there, and at the very
I know,
beginning,
I missed you.
I know. I was there for like an hour. But I wanted to come home and try to see my children before they went to bed.
I
So
feel that.
yeah. So they were all saying when I got there, they were just talking so much kind of what you had said about how grateful they were for the experience, how welcoming and easy but specifically you were with like directing and working with them and everything like that. So
that's so nice.
They just with both of us, they just said they had such an amazing experience, and so I thought I should share.
Well,
that
Katie
with you.
Jo, I was really happy when she one of our cast members who works for me at Spotlight, she sort of took a really lovely moment before the show on Sunday to talk with us backstage, and I think that is an interesting viewpoint from an adult. So you've done way more adult community theater in a directorial or creative team side than I have. I did so much as an actor growing up. I was so on the other side of it with dozens of productions. But I think I've been in the mindset with students for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that it was going to be so different
with
adults, but truly it's the exact same thing. because these adults, they just want a space to create and they
Mhm.
want the guidance, but they want that support.
Mhm.
Right. And I think that some of these adults who hadn't done theater in a long time thought, oh gosh, it's going to come in and it's going to be different. And it's going to be like, they're going to expect something different. They're going to treat us differently. And then really it's not. You're just a grown up and can drive yourself home, which is awesome.
Right.
Like
That's
there's
the best
not,
part.
like
That's literally the best part.
yes. I mean, it truly is. And the communication, like there's
Yeah.
no interim, like intermediary communicator. It's just like I can text directly. But I think that's it. And I don't, I would hope, like, I know when you get to a professional level, you're being paid. But to me, and might come out horrible for those people who are listening who theater is their career, but like,
We promise we don't mean it bad.
no offense. What?
I said we promise we don't mean it bad.
No, and my sister is a
Yeah.
a professional performer and an actress, and it should still be fun.
Yeah.
I could never understand the best, most successful Broadway performer, show, whatever, like this industry, the artistry of it all, if it's not like fun, anything creative, I feel the same way with instrumental music. Yes, of course, put in your hard work. Of course, show up. But
Yeah.
like,
Be a professional.
why in the world would it ever be a terrible experience? I just think that that's incorrect. It's incorrect.
It is incorrect, but it can be a terrible experience. And not to go too far off track, hopefully, but like we have talked about.
But we do. We squirrel. We squirrel.
With certain shows, especially as they become massive, like Wicked, or that's just the first one that came to mind because of the movie and everything. But they become machines, right? And for better or worse, because for the better aspect, when they're a machine, then the consumer is getting a consistent and the performances they're expecting, right? But from a performer or creative aspect, it is stifling. So it's like trying to find that balance. Because I've even had it happen, because I'm like, especially as I've gotten older, I've gotten less, quote, judgy about it. But like, if I go see a show that I've listened to the soundtrack of 900 times, and then someone does a riff that I don't like, that is different from the soundtrack or something like that, I'm like,
you're mad about it?
I'm mad about it.
Really?
Not, like I said, not so much anymore.
I kind of feel the other way, where I'm like, oh, good for you.
I know.
Good for you for not trying to like be like the recording or keep
more
like,
how I feel
look,
now.
I was telling, as you sort of been in the business, I was telling some of the cast members who were talking about it. The longest run I ever did, I think, was 10 weeks, 8 weeks.
Okay.
8 weeks. That was too long for me. Like, I have a friend who has been in a show on Broadway for like over 20 years.
I know. That's insanity to me. Insanity.
And what the, and that's hard, I think, too, when you get to that level. But I think it's more of the creation process, and people who talk about how like working with certain directors or choreographers, like the experience isn't good. I just like, I guess it's like any other job, but I don't know, when it's artistic and creative, just kind of circling back to how people were saying, like, we made them feel at ease or welcome.
Yeah.
Again, I also think maybe it's the level, like, y'all, you were a school teacher, or you're in your last year of college, or you work at a restaurant. Like, we're supposed to have fun. Like, what's the point of this if it's not fun? You know? Yeah, none of us are going to be perfect.
Correct.
But I will say, we had some pretty dang talented humans in this show.
Yeah.
Like,
it was very
I sat
good.
there last night and I was like, all right, y'all better work.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think there's just, that kind of let down.
Yeah.
I also think it takes time. If you have something else to sort of jump into, it makes a difference. I also think it depends on if you're younger, you're older. If you're young, I think sometimes too, when that show has literally consumed you, that's hard. When you're a parent, an adult, you have a job, you're doing whatever, and like things are there to sort of distract you or bring you back into like your day to day.
Right.
But I also hope it sort of powers people through to be like, well, what am I going to do next then? You know, like what's the next show going to be for me? And like,
exactly.
gives them a little inspiration to keep going and find
and
the
I
next
love
thing.
that thought, because it was always, when I was in my post-show blues, I was always like, well, no, I'm never going to get to do anything again. Like, who knows when the next thing's going to come, or blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
turning it on its head, being like, looking forward to finding something new. Like, that's also cool. Right? Like, take
Yeah.
that energy and put it towards finding something, another project.
And looking forward to having a very similar, hopefully, experience with another group of people.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Because I'll be honest, I've worked with you a bunch. I love working with you. I knew a handful of the people who are going to be in this cast, but we sort of talked about this yesterday. I don't know why I didn't expect to be, I don't want to say attached. This group of people in particular, I think it was just like perfectly magical for this first show to make it so wonderful. Like the diversity, the different levels, the different ages, they all, although they're different personalities and people who probably rubbed people a little bit the wrong way at times, like they were also supportive of each other. Do you know what I mean? Like still so great.
Yeah.
So it was a lovely show. It really was.
A good cast energy.
I know. And then we had to strike it last night.
We did.
I want to spend the next 2 minutes talking about strike.
Okay.
Because
I'm ready.
Strike for me. Well, I'm
just
don't know.
Gonna sit back and sip my coffee.
I've had so many. I've had so many different levels of theater strike, right?
Okay.
So like from as I don't want to say low down, but like so like educational high school strike. Okay. I'm striking. Everyone, you know, like
right.
you're the people, so you're doing it. To professional theater where you strike nothing.
Yes,
you know,
correct.
Closing show, you get your makeup and your stuff and you're like, bye, right?
Yep.
But I feel like when you run a theater company or you are the director at the school, you have to help with strike. And last night for our strike, actually really, I wish we had like a little time lapse, because I felt like for the most part, 95% of the cast helped strike. I'm not going to name names.
Nope.
And there were some
you
that
can tell
just
me later.
Yeah, no. There were some that just, look, okay, well, it looks like everything's done. Really? Because so-and-so's over there sweeping up the theater.
Yeah.
And you're over here,
funny.
Looks like it's done. No. But some of them stayed, like 2 of the cast members stayed and like helped load the whole truck. They drove to the studio to unload the truck when the rest of the cast is, at the guest party.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting for me to see who knows how to. Some other people I like when they're like, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm like, there's 1,000 things. Like they just, I'm like, pick up the trash.
Yeah.
Or go ask somebody who looks like they're busy if you can help them. Roll cable or pull down whatever,
Yeah.
But we struck pretty quickly last night. And I think we had a lot of helpers.
Good. Yeah. I know. I'm always like in between. I help a little bit, but I'm always concerned with like breaking down the band and making sure all of that stuff gets taken care of and everything like that too.
Well, and at the end of the day, I will say that is technically the crew's job, right? It's really not in historically and in the setup of a show, it is not the cast's job. Yeah. But I made it pretty clear at Circle last night, like, this is a community theater, so we're all a community.
Right.
Like, it's different. Commune. It's different. And yes, and it was great to, and in youth theater, we always have parent volunteers. Like that's a thing for parents. But it was good. It is also, I don't know, like another piece of the show, striking the show together, like getting to do that. So
get to do one more thing. It was together.
Good. I know. Well, on to the next one.
Yes.
That's how we roll.
That is how we roll. I know. I'm like fully in Matilda now. Matilda,
especially you. Yeah, you're jumping right. I have a little break, which is awesome. Awesome.
But
all right, Christopher.
Oh gosh.
Post-show blues? I don't know. I think we're going to be okay on this one. I think
we are. But, but as we were saying yesterday, it was very interesting because I rarely have them anymore, like at all. I'm like, woohoo, let's take a nap. Let's have a cocktail. But this time this time I was like, oh, I kind of feel it on this one a little bit. But
Yeah.
like I said, I
It
mean,
was a fun show.
it was a fun show. It was, I think, because it's the first show of the new theater, it's like
Yeah.
a milestone moment that it just felt a little more, or I felt it a little more. Very
Yeah.
cool. I like
It
it.
was emotional too. I feel like for
Yeah.
everyone, they felt honored is not the right word. I think everyone felt that pride
Right.
in being part of
The gravity of that
this like
situation.
original cast,
Yeah.
the original show, our very first one. And I think that did sort of, you know, amp it up a little bit,
Yeah.
raise that level a little bit of feeling emotional toward it.
Yeah. Which I think is so cool. I mean, it's so very cool to be part of something when it starts. There at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like they'll always have that. Like, let's say this theater continues forever. So like 20 years from now, like
Yeah.
they might be like, oh, remember the first show we did there? All shook
Oh
up.
my gosh. And then you'll have some of the people who are in their 20s right now come
Yeah.
back and playing,
Oh my
you know,
gosh, yes.
older roles. And I was in All Shook Up 20 years ago when we did it. I love that. I love that.
If we're all still doing this in 20 years, we should do All Shook Up in 20 years.
The 20th anniversary.
The 20th
I love
anniversary. Booking it now.
Let's do it. Booked and blessed.
Then Nomi can come back and play Matilda.
Yeah. Or Sylvia.
Or Sylvia.
So funny.
It'll be fun. Anyway.
All right.
All right, Shana fans. Well, we hope you enjoyed our rantings. Not rantings. That's not the right word. Our givings of thought on our experiences from All Shook Up and our post-show, post-mortem, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Wait, who do we have next week? We should.
Well, Elise
should tell
is
everyone
going to
who we
be
have.
back as long as she doesn't book another job. Because we were supposed to record with her today because she was supposed to be this episode. We were very excited about it. And then she texted us last night and was like, friends, I can't record tomorrow because I don't know. I have to like audition for important things that might pay me lots of money. Who knows?
Hey, she'll be back. We'll have her,
She
we'll have
will
her
be
next
back.
week. Everyone's
Yep.
just going to have to wait. Just
one
more
more
week.
hopefully. It'll be grand.
1 week more.
Oh, at the end of
Did
the
you like
day,
that?
at the end of the week.
This is why I love us. Anything with musicals, dude.
Yeah.
They need like a game show for
They
musical
do.
trivia.
And we need to go
would
on
be
it.
the best.
We need to win.
Right?
Immediately.
Love it.
There's got to be something out there.
All right.
I'll call
We're gonna find
Safudetsky. Start it. 'Cause
Yes.
he would
And if
start it.
anybody knows of anything, let us know. We'll be on there.
Immediately. DM
Charnopher.
us. Let's go. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Charno fans, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Charnopher Official. Check out uncommonpod.com to learn more about us, maybe get some merch. And on that note, Charnopher
Charnopher out. Do, 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 do.
do. Boom, boom.
This concludes another episode of Uncommon Sense. If you're ready for more of this fresh, hilarious, and unique perspective on the world of entertainment, education, and life, be sure to subscribe right now to catch every episode. If you gasped, laughed out loud, or even snorted, share the show with your friends and aspiring entertainers because, let's be real, sharing is caring. For more Charnopher, tune in to their witty insights by checking out the website uncommonpod.com or connecting on social media. Tune in next week and get the real insider scoop on another episode of Uncommon Sense.